Hey guys, it's Stephanie Rose, and today I will be talking about Finding Alaska by John Green. I was inspired to read this book after watching More Popular Books I Don't Like by Clockwork Reader. I will be posting the link to that video in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. Hannah lists 4 different books. This book, Looking for Alaska, struck me as interesting. While I agree with a lot of her points about why she didn't like it, it's a very character-driven book, and that intrigued me. And so I decided that I wanted to make a video about it so I could tell you my opinions on the book. So I'm going to list her talking points and give my take on them, and then I might just go and ramble a bit. I'm still trying to decide whether or not it's okay for me to just rip into Miles. Okay, so her first issue with the book was that nothing happens. There's no plot. It's true. I mean, some things happen, but it's set over an entire school year at a boarding school. And the story is definitely more character driven. There's not much of an arc. There's little stories within the whole thing, but nothing super overarching that isn't particularly character involved. So it can be a little boring. I did, however, sit down and read it within 24 hours. So it interested me. I do like character-driven stories. I've been getting into them a lot more. I like character studies, and so it held my attention for that reason. Her next point is Miles didn't learn a thing. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I do think he learned a couple things, but they weren't as large of lessons as I feel he should have learned, so he still comes off as shallow, and he's a bit pompous about it, because he says, where is it? I have all these little marks that I just made. Miles has this sort of soliloquy that he does, a fifth or a sixth of the way through the book, where she had embodied the great perhaps. She had proved to me that it was worth it to leave behind my minor life for grander maybes, and now she was gone, and with her my faith in perhaps, because now I am irretrievably different. He is a very self-absorbed soliloquy there. Her next talking point is that there are no personalities. And yes and no, because it's told through Miles's eyes, and he is very self-absorbed. He gets swept up with these people, and like he chances upon them because his roommate is very, very friendly, and he just sort of sucks him into the friend group. Which is good for Miles, because I'm just going to say this right now. If he didn't have that friend group that was present there, his boarding school experience would have been just the same as his boring public school experience. Because he did not try to make friends, he had no friends. And the 2 people that show up to his going away party are probably intrinsically interesting people that he found boring because he did not bother to get to know them at all. They showed up. He's not even grateful. He just thinks that they're boring. Anyway, there are some personalities, but they're extremely shallow looks at these personalities. Alaska is, I almost want to say she's similar to Maniac Pixie. The focus is on how attractive she is, but also how crazy she is. We are seeing these people through Miles's eyes. Miles is shallow. He doesn't look too deep. He doesn't feel like there is any bit of a need to get to know somebody any deeper than how they present themselves, which I can understand because I'm a little bit like that. I did not grow up with very many friends, and the friends that I did have, I saw maybe once or twice a week. When I went to college, I went to a very conservative college, so I did not realize that more than half of those people were hiding their true selves just to get by at that college, and so I've had a lot of issues getting to know people in the past. I'm still working through those issues, so I can understand it to an extent. But my point there is that is why there is not a lot of personality amongst the characters. And then she mentions how terrible Miles was, And yes, he is incredibly unlikable, incredibly unreliable. He sees things through a specific lens that is not necessarily applicable to everybody. She also, the last thing that she mentions is how Alaska is portrayed, and she brings up how she's described in the front cover as clever, funny, screwed up, and dead sexy. And again, this is through Miles' eyes. Literally, the first thing that he notices about her when he meets her is how sexy she is. And then from then on, every single time you see Alaska, there's at least one mention about her tight tank top around her breasts, or her curves, or her soft thighs. Oh god. It's it's too much. It's just too much. Anyway, he learns how to live life instead of sitting around and waiting for life to happen to him, even though life does kind of happen to him. So yeah, Miles is very self-absorbed. He's that way all the way up until the end of the book, when he realizes that he's not really the only person who cares about Alaska. But he does not learn much further than that. So he does learn a thing, it's just not much of a thing. But it does challenge his outlook on life, his outlook on other people, and his beliefs about life and the future. But yeah, I disliked almost every character. I've covered her points. I enjoy the book, at least on first reading, because it does make you stop and think. Miles doesn't learn much, but you can learn more from the book than Miles himself learns from his experiences, especially coming at it with a more adult mind. Anyway, that's all I have for today, so I will see you guys later. Let's see, were there any other points? This is going to be edited up the wazoo. Jesus, 21 minutes already.